All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Cohort 18. It's going to be a pretty awesome program for you guys. Let me talk a little bit about what's going on, and then we're going to drop into tables in a moment. So first and foremost, you're going to see here at the bottom of the screen a chat and a Q&A. If you want to introduce yourself, maybe share your LinkedIn, you can do so in the chat. There are managers here from literally all around the world. This cohort is very diverse. We expect to have over 300 managers from Central Asia, Asia, Africa, Europe, South America, all across Latin America, North America, really everywhere in the world. And we're very excited to welcome you into Cohort 18. If you have a question for me, I'll do a couple questions here, and then we'll have a table for questions in the breakout room. You can always just ask the question in the Q&A. I'll get to a couple questions at the end, but I'll also have a dedicated table for questions in the Q&A. Let me talk to you a little bit about where we are in the world, what's going on with venture capital, how Cohort 18 fits in with everything, etc. Okay. So Cohort 17 raised the most money of any program in our history. And I know many of you have probably seen on social networks, oh my God, the sky is falling when it comes to venture capital and new managers are struggling and they're all dying, okay? That data that all this pundit stuff comes from is PitchBook. None of our managers, literally none of our managers, tell PitchBook anything. And we are 60%, over 60% of all new manager firms worldwide launch with VC Lab and the Dessel Group. So now you can imagine that if there's a group that's reporting on the health and well-being of new and emerging managers, and they're missing 60% of the market, that's a very incomplete view of what's going on. And so what we see, which is over 60% of the market, is again, Cohort 17 raised the most money of any of our programs in history, has the largest number of graduates. Many of them are successfully launching funds right now in the middle of the summer doldrums. In fact, we are closing a fund right now. Actually, I'm technically closing two funds this week, one for Dessel Group and Dessel Capital and one for the Founder Institute. So I think a lot of what you hear in the media, you can just ignore. I would generally give you that advice about anything in the media, but it's especially true for venture capital. Right now is a very exciting time. You know, largest amount of money raised for Cohort 17, an amazing time to find deals. We actually think Cohort 18 is going to be one of our strongest cohorts in history. Let me tell you a little bit why we think that, and then I'm going to tell you some of the things we're doing to help. So every time we run a new cohort, we go back to the curriculum and we rewrite it. Not the whole thing, right? Because there's some things that are very good, but the market is changing. Our knowledge on how to launch companies is getting better. We introduce new products and services. So we're always upgrading the curriculum to reflect these changes in the world, changes in our products, etc. Okay? So we're very excited about Cohort 18 because you're entering in a very interesting time in the world. Okay? This may be the most interesting time in human history. Full stop. You know, I'm sure there'll be very interesting times in the future. But right now, it feels like we're in this very big transition moment between AI and non-AI, between robotics and non-robotics, et cetera, et cetera. I had a group of college-aged people over at my house, many of whom were graduating college, and I had the head of OpenAI and other people, OpenAI's legal team, I should say, last night at my house to talk about how to get a job after college with the advent of AI. And everybody's like, I'm very interested in AI. How do I get a job in this new AI world? Things are changing very dramatically right now, right? I would argue that the kids that I had at my house last night were not really, or young adults, I should say, they were not very well prepared for the future, right? Because their schools didn't want them to use AI to do assignments and things like that. So many of them haven't really used AI. They didn't know some basic concepts of what AI can do. It's just an example of how dramatic this change is going to be. That might be the last generation of young adults that isn't using AI in their daily life. And in fact, a lot of the tools and technologies that we're making with Decel Group are bringing AI to venture capital, and you will have these tools in Cohort 18. And here's why this is important and what this means, right? You as a single manager or a small team of managers, maybe you have 2 or 3 managers on your team, maybe more, you're going to be able to do the work of a firm of 10, 20, or 30 people, okay? And our tools are enabling that right now, okay? I'll give you a simple example. I could even show you. Tell me in the chat if you want me to quickly show you. Just say, show me, and I'll show you if it's something you're interested in. Okay. All right. So let me give you an example, all right, of what I mean. So now today with tools, you as a single manager can do the work of a team of 10 managers or so. And I'll just give you an example. Okay. So I'm sharing my screen. This is Decel Hub. Everyone in Cohort 18 gets this for free. This is by far today the leading fully integrated tool for AI for VC. I maybe made the screen a little bigger. I'm going to shrink it, but let's go into deal flow because this is kind of cool stuff and it's a great demo of what we're talking about. So I'm going to just shrink the screen a little bit to 100%. All right, so now I'm in deal flow, right? I emailed in a company, right, called landings.co. It's a friend of mine's company. It had the deck and everything. The email address is up here. You see this pipeline ingestion email. I can copy the email. I can edit the email if I want, right? But I don't want to edit. Here's the email right there. But so I've emailed in this deal. Here it is, right? Not only when I emailed it in, it scored the deal for me on a 1 to 5. It wrote a description of the business. It loaded in all the people, the CEO, etc. It created notes about it, detailed analysis on the business, all this stuff. This is things that analysts would normally have to do. AI did it all. Scored it, loaded all this stuff in, created all the CRM records just by forwarding an email. It put all the files into the file system, so I have the deck, etc. And then let's say I want to go in. Now you can add ratings, etc. Right? So I'll just go in and add some ratings here. So now I want to rate the deal. This is our deal memo tool. Now it's got all my email history on the deal, all the files that I've had so far on the deal. Everything is in there. And this is the now deal memo where I'm sort of doing my analysis on doing the deal. And I can just write with AI, what's the product, service, what pain point? I hit write with AI. It's sucking in all the information. I don't have a term sheet yet, right? So it tells you what information it has. And you see this little spinny thing it's generating. And it just wrote an entire analysis for me by looking at my email history, all the documents, everything, blah, blah, blah. A nice, concise overview of what the product and service does, right? Again, this is something that it might have taken me an hour or two to read all the emails, find all the documents. I might have had to delegate it to an associate This just did it in a matter of seconds. So I forwarded an email in, it scored it, did the analysis, collected all the stuff. Then I can start writing a deal memo. This is just one of many things. I'll show you one other thing. Many of you have seen this before. So let's say I want to email the founder and say like, hey, let me say, I don't want to pass on this deal because I kind of like it, but there's a pass email. I'll just do a pass email I really like the company. Thank you, but man, we decide to pass. Now, this kind of generic pass email. So I'm going to click this enable AI transformations, and now it's going to use my style of writing, all of the email history, and write a customized email to the lady and in my tone, and you can change the language, etc., to finish. Actually, it's not going to work because we don't have this. We don't have a purpose here. Decline the investment, and now it will work. But you get the gist. So now we'll write the email perfectly for me in whatever language I choose. In this case, Finnish. And which you probably don't understand. I don't understand, but you get the gist. You can pick the language, and it's written in my style, very easy. And this is the type of tools and technology that we're making available to managers in Cohort 18. They're just going to set you apart from everyone else. You'll be able to find deals better. You'll be able to review deals better. You'll be able to do the analysis on deals faster. And this is just going to make you a better investor with a smaller team. You'll be lean, mean, and able to do things that larger teams that are less efficient take longer amounts of time to do. So the world is really changing in exciting ways. It's changing for venture capital is doing the craft. It's changing because companies are making really great innovations in the field that you can invest in. And I just see this as I said, one of the most exciting times to be alive, one of the most exciting times to be an investor. And Cohort 18 is coming in at this like nexus moment where they're tools and technologies for the investor, they're tools and technologies to invest in, and there's a lot of capital available, despite what you read in the media, which I just think is wrong, and based on bad data. So let's talk about some of the cool things that are in store for you in Cohort 18. And if you have a couple questions, I see there's a few in the Q&A. I'll try and go through them. If Dominica, you can clean the questions out because we're going to go into breakout rooms where you can meet your peers in a few minutes, and I'll get some questions. But let me tell you about the things I'm excited for in Cohort 18. So we're just redoing the curriculum as I brought up earlier. There's some exciting things that we have. We have literally, as I just showed, a ton of AI to make your life easier. You're going to be able to write your thesis, find investors, find deals, all using AI to make your job as an investor easier. It's not going to be easy. Starting a venture capital firm is hard, okay? It just is. But you are lucky in that a lot of the tedious, boring, difficult work of being a venture capitalist is almost all being taken off your shoulders by AI. And then you can focus on the more exciting and interesting work of getting to finding and getting to know limited partners, finding and investing in some of the best deals. And the tedium is being removed. And we're not only building the tools, we'll build it in the curriculum. Your life is going to be a lot easier. Okay. In addition to that, your first venture capital fund for your firm is an MVP. And there was no option really to do an MVP fund because you had to do a full-fledged expensive setup that would cost $50,000 or more, tens of thousands a year, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. We released something called the Start Fund that can allow managers that may not have as much track record or may not have as big of a network to launch a fund in under a day with no cost. okay? And their fund size can be very small, as little as 150,000. Of course, I don't recommend anyone do 150,000 fund here. I'd target everyone here at least $1 million, but you couldn't even do $1 million fund. Your smallest fund size before was 2.5 million and above, and 2.5 million was not a good fund size to be at because your fund expenses were very high. So now you can do $1 million funds very easily. This really changes the game. We were able, just to give you a sense of how much it changes the game, we're going to graduate around 80 funds, maybe 100 funds in cohort 17 that's finishing right now. And that's twice the size of our average, well, maybe possibly more than twice the size of the average amount of funds that we were able to graduate in previous cohorts, because they just couldn't get enough capital together to get the minimum fund size. But now your fund size minimum is lower, so it just allows much more people to get their MVP first fund done so they can prove themselves as an investor. This is particularly important in Latin America, Africa, and many other markets where raising money is quite hard, right? So we've opened up markets, we've opened up opportunities for different managers. So Cohort 18, you're going to have the tools, new fund structures, and many other innovations. We're really rebuilding the curriculum from the ground up with these new tools and new structures so that you'll have the whole world open to you. Let me do a couple quick questions, but I'll do one or two other housekeeping items, and then Dominic, if you can remind everyone about AirMeet, and we'll hop over there in a second. So very quickly, everybody, if you have not applied, and there's some people here that have not finished their full application yet, please do so today. The program starts tomorrow, okay? So it starts tomorrow, so please get your application in today if it's not finished. If you've been accepted and you haven't enrolled, please enroll today. We have about 50 managers. When the 50 managers that are accepted enroll, it's a little more than 50, we'll break 300, I believe. So and then we have always some people come in a little late because a partner or whatever. So we expect to be about 330 to 350 managers in the program. But if you have been accepted, again, please complete your acceptance today. The program officially starts tomorrow. Okay, lots of questions here, but I will have questions. Read the instructions on how to get AirMeet set up. We'll move over to AirMeet in a couple minutes. Okay. Question, can I announce on LinkedIn that I've started my new position as a managing partner? Don't talk publicly about anything. You can talk publicly about being accepted into VC Lab. There are general solicitation rules. We can post in the chat some things about general solicitation, but guys and girls, you're not allowed to say you're raising capital, full stop. There are laws in the US, there are laws in the EU, there are laws kind of everywhere. And so even if you might be complying with US laws, you might be breaking the laws in the EU. So you just can't talk about your fund. You cannot talk about the fact that you're raising capital on social media. You have to pitch people one-on-one, and you have to pitch people you know. We're going to talk about how to do all this. It's actually not that hard. Nobody raises money on social media. Everyone who puts stuff on social media is either breaking the law or just not that smart because it doesn't work. Okay. What's the max recommended size of a start fund? Someone's asking. You can make the start fund any size you want. Start fund is the vehicle that I was talking about that you can start in a day and has no cost involved. At about $10 million, it's cost equivalent to do a normal fund or a start fund. So the cost is about the same. At anything under $10 million, the start fund is basically a cheaper alternative. Can the AI deal score be customized? Yes, the AI deal score knows your thesis because your thesis is in the system, and so it uses your thesis to score the deal. So it is automatically customized. Tanya's asking, my weaker area is raising capital. We're going to help you a lot with raising capital. And the reality is the start fund allows you to do a smaller fund size if you really are struggling with that. So you would probably be in the start fund opportunity. There's a lot of questions here, so I'll do two more. Do you have an API for the platform? Yes, we have APIs, and we use Zapier, so you can connect it to event systems and any system to suck data in and send data out as you need. Radulowski. All right, so let's see. I'll do one more, and then there are two I'll do very quickly. So, is the start fund only for the U.S.? No, you can do a start fund in many places in the world, but there's some places you can't do a start fund just because they have regulations that the EU, Singapore are two places where you cannot do a start fund, but pretty much everywhere else in the world you can do a start fund. And someone's asking, are we going to make introductions to LPs? So, sort of. We have an LP matching platform, and some of you will be on the matching platform. We put about 30 funds at a time on the matching platform, and you will have LPs that come to you. But just to give you a sense of scale, this is the most successful LP matching solution on the market today. We've had about 60% of the managers that we feature can see up to 20% of their target fund size come inbound. And that's the most I've ever heard of anything that anyone's ever done to get money in. Okay, 20%, up to 20% for 60% of the funds featured. This is enormously successful. But it's 20%, okay? So you have to find 80%. And that's the most successful thing. So you're going to have to hustle to find LPs, no matter, like, we can help, but we can help you to the tune of 20%. And there are other things out there that might help you get 10%. And, but most LP matching and finding you LPs don't work. So this is the only thing that I've heard of that actually works, but it's 20%. So you have to get the 80%. Right? So anyway, all right. So here's what we're going to do, everybody. Go to the chat. Stop doing anything else. You're going to see a link to AirMeet. Let's all click that link to AirMeet. Now, if you're on a mobile phone, you're going to need to download the AirMeet app, but I recommend doing this from the desktop. So if you could post it again, Domenica, and just keep posting it in the chat. There's an AirMeet link in the chat. I'll go over there in 1 second if you're, again, on a mobile phone. And then what's going to happen is I'll just say a couple words, and then we're going to dive into tables. And there'll be a table with me where you can ask me questions. There'll be tables with groups. So let's all go over to AirMeet now. I will head over there now. Maybe Domenica, you stay here. I'm heading to AirMeet, and I'll see you guys there. And Domenica will just keep helping you move. See you guys in a minute.